Sometimes we find that in the Middle East region that the ambition for innovation often overshadows the need to just get the basics right.
You're listening to Smart Thinking, a podcast from WSP. I'm Matthew Marson, taking you on a journey into smart buildings. In this episode, we're talking about smart in the Middle East. I'm joined today in the Dubai studio by Garald Todd, Client Director for Property and Buildings in the Middle East region and Saudi Arabia Country Lead. With 13 years experience in the Middle East, starting his career working on some of the most iconic projects in the region as fire and life safety specialist. Firstly, welcome Garald, and to jump into our first question, what is a smart building and why should we care?
So everybody will have a different definition for that, but when I think of smart, I think of a building that is reactive to how it's used. And the benefit of this needs to be in sustainability, energy consumption, efficiency, but not only efficiency in power and the cooling and other things, efficiency in how the building is actually used itself, the optimization of space, the use of space, the organization of the building itself. All of that not only saves the bottom line, or it should, but also should improve the well-being of the people using the building. So really something that generates active, useful data that then can be used by either automated machine learning systems within the building or operators of the building to improve the building's performance.
With that in mind, how are you seeing smart unfold here in the Middle East?
Right now, it's a bit like buzzword bingo. Everybody wants to talk about it, but it ends up being expressed as gadgets. You know, robots taking people to meeting rooms and other cool things like that. Well, while that is cool, I don't know it really hits at the heart of what smart really should be and where it should be transforming our lives and how we use and operate buildings.
Do you think that the expectations of some of the clients here might be different from those in more mature markets?
I think they're more open to pushing the boundaries. Everything about the Middle East is transformative. You know, they're trying to transform a desert. They're trying to transform, I think, some of the stigma that surrounds the Middle East. They're looking to make statements. They're looking to gain global relevance. You know, you look at Dubai 10 years ago, you know, Dubai wasn't on everybody's mind. Now Dubai is internationally recognized, you know, so they're going a long way to that. And part of that is just pushing the boundaries, looking for innovation, looking for future tech, looking for how do we do something slightly different. So I think they're a bit more forward thinking, but I also think that there is so much going on that they haven't really dug into the meat of it yet.
From some of the client conversations that we've been having, it almost seems that some of the basics need to be covered before we can move up into the more human experience parts. I think you were talking about the speed of construction means that some issues exist in commissioning.
The speed of construction, the availability of talented resource, the sheer scale and size of everything that's going on and all at the same time leads that we can't really have an intelligent discussion around something like HVAC analytics because the BMS isn't properly commissioned in the first place. So none of the systems are working as they were intended or as they designed by and large. So, you know, it's great to have a conversation about how do we make that more efficient, but let's get it working at least to spec first. And so that's one of the big challenges I think that we're going to see as we move into some of the sustainability and some of the energy efficiency world of smart, let alone the customer experience.
So which do you think will probably happen first? If there were to be a big bang smart project, do you think it would be more on the operations side or more on the experience?
I think the big splashy big bang smart project is probably going to come out from a communities, district or cities wide point of view from some of the new developments coming up out of Saudi. I think that's where the first real stab at it is going to happen in any real meaningful way. And then I think the second is as the Dubai or UAE market matures, I think they're going to start looking at efficiency and sustainability in a real way to where actually we need to start decreasing our operational costs. We need to start making things really efficient. And I think we'll see a lot more traction on that. So I think it's a mixed bag.
Beyond the Dubai and Abu Dhabi markets, how are you seeing the other countries in the Gulf region responding?
There's tremendous amounts of energy, enthusiasm in having the conversation around smart, especially in Saudi Arabia. And it's going to be interesting to watch how the conversation matures. Because right now, we're seeing some good RFPs out there. We're seeing some good discussions. We're getting engaged in some good discussions on sort of district and citywide levels. But it's just going to be interesting when the rubber meets the road and they actually have to pony up significant cash to actually realize some objectives. So I think it's a wait and see, but definitely want to be part of that conversation.
What do you think will be that tips them over the edge to just going from talking about it to actually doing it?
I think once they find people that they actually trust, that has gone on that journey elsewhere in the world, that can demonstrate the benefits of that journey, a myriad and multitude of ways. I think once they're convinced and once they have that relationship and trust, I think that will be the tipping point. Because once you have one big one that actually delivers it properly, everybody can come see it and it becomes tangible. So much of it right now in a lot of clients' heads is very theoretical and kind of mysterious. So I think anybody who can come in that has a track record of delivery, track record of trust, and can demonstrate that this has been delivered elsewhere, I think will be the primary engine for that catalyst.
If somebody were to embark on doing a smart project out here in the Middle East, what would your top tips be?
I think being pragmatic. I think not too pie in the sky. Start with something that's achievable. Start with something that has easily measurable returns. You know, a lot of the smart stuff that's going on around the world looks at well-being and happiness and how people use a building and, you know, want to use the building. And I think that's great, but it's oftentimes a bit of a difficult thing to measure directly until you get to a certain scale. I think focus on the pragmatics, focus on things that you have easily identified KPIs that you can measure against and show a clear return on investment, and focus on things that, and I know this is counter to innovation, but focus on things that have kind of been demonstrated elsewhere. So start there, and then I think we can build that trust and relationship to expand to the more softer side of smart.
So be pragmatic, get the brilliant basics right, and be prepared for scale.
That's right.
A big thank you to Garald Todd, Client Director for Property and Buildings in the Middle East. In our next episode, we'll be focusing on a real-life smart building that WSP has created with Herbert Els. If something in this episode has piqued your interest, then have a chat with us. Email smart@wsp.com. You've been listening to Smart Thinking, a podcast from WSP. I'm Matthew Marson, and thanks for listening.